We have not spoken since David Ortiz wrote his book, where, listen, the book's been out for a while, so people already know that he was critical of some things that you did as manager of the Red Sox. I'm just curious, you said since then that you did try to reach out to him to sort of clear the air, and I'm curious if there's an update there and just...
No update, and I mean, there doesn't need to be. What he said was basically true. I mean, I had him hit ground balls, and there's something else he didn't like. I did yell at a player, and they did come into my office and say that I needed to apologize, and I did roll my eyes. There's no question about that. Yeah. But, as I said then, and I'll say now, if David or anybody else thinks that I was the problem with the 2012 season, I think they're living in a fantasy world.
Well, I'll pull out a quote from his book that I'm just curious about this, because Ortiz does own that a little bit. He said there had been a lot of conversations about our team the year before and how our lack of accountability led to our September collapse. Maybe Bobby was told to come in and boss around full-grown men. Maybe the Red Sox wanted to hire a daddy, not a manager. But look, reading between the lines here, did the Red Sox, thinking back to that time, did they tell you, hey, we want you to manage this team hard, and we feel like they weren't accountable at the end of the season before, and we want you to take this kind of approach?
Kind of, yeah. And they put it on me to take the beer out of the clubhouse. I like beer more than anybody in that clubhouse, I mean, but, it was like, you're going to be the manager, you have to say there's no beer in the clubhouse. I said, all right, and that didn't go over very well with the guys at all. And they thought that I was being the daddy kind of guy. And, being responsible is not that bad a thing. And when I ask guys to be accountable and responsible, maybe they didn't like that.
Okay, so besides having to be the messenger of the no beer in the clubhouse, any regrets about that time?
Yeah, I wouldn't have had them hit ground balls. Even though it improved some guys catching the ground ball, they really didn't like it. I thought it was a cool little idea. I probably wouldn't have called guys out in the clubhouse like I did in a meeting. But I thought they needed to be called out in a meeting. What are you going to do? That again, that genie's gone. And when I remember, we were 63-60 with a terrible team, with more people on the disabled list than ever lasted or ever had, and as much dysfunctionality as you can imagine. Me probably causing some of it, and also being part of what was there. And we had a shot at doing something okay, and it turned to hell in the last 40 days.